Welcome to Village Talk Podcast with hosts Cortland Jones and Shauna Felton King. Village Talk highlights the views and voices of the community. And now your hosts, Cortland Jones and Shauna Felton King.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Village Talk Podcast, where we highlight the voices and views of the community. And welcome also to my co-host, Shauna. Shauna, say hello to everybody.
Hey, everybody. It's great to be back for another episode of Village Talk.
We are excited because we have a special guest. Shauna had the privilege of having her husband, a family member, on the show, and I too am excited because we have a very special guest with us, my oldest brother, Eugene Jones, and we want to welcome him, and then I'm going to provide the bio of who he is. Eugene, welcome to our podcast, The Village Talk.
Thank you.
So for those who don't know, I did mention that Eugene is my oldest brother. I'm the fourth of four children. I have two older brothers and an older sister. Eugene was born and shaped in the civil rights era where he found Christ as his Lord and Savior, making him a child of God. His professional background is rooted in fire and EMS, emergency services. He is a volunteer currently for several organizations, including the Silver Hill Volunteer Fire Department, Prince George's County as well, and resident for a Better Beltsville. He currently works for District 1 Council Member Tom Dernoga in Prince George's County. And so we want to welcome this episode of the Village Talk, Eugene, to the topic we're going to discuss today, Black Lives Matter from a Black male perspective. So thank you, Eugene, for joining us. Shauna, did you have anything you wanted to share?
You know, I think it's funny. So Eugene, welcome. We don't want to keep talking about you. How are you today?
Good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great, and we are really excited to have you with us. As Cortland mentioned, you know, it's amazing when you realize you've got such brilliance right in your family, because when we're able to bring you on to the show, and we've had some conversations before, and I'm just really looking forward to chatting with you about Black Lives Matter and getting kind of your perspective on it, because, and I'm gonna shoot it out to you this way, Eugene, to kind of get us started. There's so many layers of this thing when it comes to where we are now as a Black community. And even, I sometimes struggle with, sometimes people, if you're in a community where you're the only African-American and people expect you to speak for the whole Black community as if we are all one thought, thinking the same thing, at the same time, we know that that's not true. But I'd love to kind of hear your thinking about your background. What are kind of some of your thoughts about, some of the struggles and some of the issues that, as a Black community we have right now? Kind of tell me where you are with that. Give us a little bit of background.
Okay. Well, in my personal experience, and today I'm not representing my job, I'm speaking on behalf of myself as an individual.
Oh, right.
And my personal perspective is that being inserted into the community, being born into the world, and looking at your own perspective, which is what you can see and what you understand, it's laid out for you that you're going to have to struggle. Every community struggles, and what we have to do is try to be understanding of other people. But as you say, the pressure of representing the Black community, it's an honorable profession, if you want to say. I believe that in my lifetime, African Americans have shown themselves to be quite talented, shown themselves to be able to overcome odds that are incredible. We bounce back, we always press forward, and I'm very proud to be an African American in this country. And we have a rich legacy of people who strive to go against all the odds that come against them. And we get better every year, decade, we move forward. And so my perspective is we just pass down the wisdom from previous generations and to our children. For example, I'm a father and I have 3 children, so I pass down my experiences to my kids and my knowledge, and my children are better than I am as a result.
Oh, wow. I love that, because something my husband always says, if my son says, Dad, I want to be like you, he always says, no, be better than me. Be better than me. And that's really what we want for this generation. And I want to touch on something kind of you were kind of hinting to. There's this level of resilience, you would say, that we have. And, even facing all the things that are going on right now, politically and just in our society and stuff like that, for how do you think we need to tap into that resilience right now? Because some people may think things are looking a little bleak right now, or even are putting I'll say a lot of hope in a change of leadership or government and stuff like that. What would you say? How can we tap into that level of resilience that we have had historically?
Well, I think our ancestors taught us that we have to trust ourselves. Yes, there are resources in the community and there are resources around us, but each one of us have to understand what the opportunities are and take advantage of them. And we don't have the power to borrow the perspective of the greater community. All we can do is interpret the information that is being given to us as individuals. Yeah, we can laud and applaud other people for their achievement, but at the end of the day, it comes down to us being determined as individuals to take our rightful place in society and to continue the legacy that was left to us to always improve.
Wow. I get that. And that word legacy is really powerful, and the great legacy. So if you tell me, if you had to compare kind of where we are now to the civil rights time frame, what do you see that aligns with that, or what do you think is a little bit different about now?
I think the difference now is the leaders in the generation that I grew up in at the end of the civil rights era are far more powerful than the leaders that we have today. These men that came before us, like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and others, they were giants. These guys transcended as a community person like myself. These are guys that affected the national scene. And I would love to be able to affect the national scene, but I realized that those were special people, and I could strive, though I might, but I think they have a set place in history. And so I'm going to do my best to be on my community level. I might even be good at the state level, but if I'm trying to ascend to the national level, like that brother behind me, Barack Obama, who was born in the same year that I was, I feel like I missed that class. I wasn't sure. I'm not sure what class he attended, because if I could have attended that class, I would be able to be as great as him. But unfortunately, I may have skipped the class. And so all I can do is try to get back in line and get to where this brother was.
But at the same time, Eugene, you're saying, that everybody has some, I guess that sphere of influence that you have, yes. And whether yours is at the local or community or statewide, we all have a role to play in this. And so I'm just going to ask you, is it as important that we have the main voice, or the Martin Luther King or the Malcolm X? Do you think it's critical that we need that during this time, or maybe part of the Black Lives Matter movement, or whatever we're trying to do at this time? Is that critical for us?
I do agree with you that in the short run, it is very important for each of us to play our role. It's revealed to us where we are in society, And, we're spectator society. Yeah, I could look out and say, I wish I was as good as this guy or had the impact this other person had. But at the end of the day, fathers have to be fathers, mothers have to be mothers, workers have to be workers, and those who want to be in a leadership position have to push and drive themselves to achieve as best they could. And I like the way Martin Luther King put it: if you're going to be a street sweeper, then be the best street sweeper out there. So I think we have still marching orders from those great men that we need to be our best selves every day.
You said it. You said it. Cortland, jump in here, because I'm enjoying talking with your brother. He's got some real good thoughts. What are you thinking here?
It's always a privilege. Eugene and I have had multiple conversations extending years. What I want to do is offer the insight of looking at him from the perspective of a brother, younger family member. There are a lot of things I've learned from listening to Eugene over the years, and we've talked about those things a lot. In previous conversations with you, Eugene, you mentioned identifying yourself as a father, husband, and a community leader. Which one of those would you say currently defines you as it relates to impacting the community or impacting or doing your part, I would say, as you already mentioned, to affect change? Which one of those roles, father, husband, community leader, do you feel like you have the best platform to which you can affect change?
I have to say father right now, because as I look back over my life, I strove every day to be a great community leader. But as the time that we live in becomes more difficult because of the things that we're facing that have not occurred in probably 100 years, like the pandemic or any other thing that's going on, I have a responsibility to my children to make sure that they are prepared every day to face the things that they're going to face. I always think about, and it's an unfortunate part of being a firefighter, that I could go at any time. So if I could go at any time at my last breath, it would be highly disappointing to myself that I didn't do everything I could to prepare my children to continue forward. It was dazzling to climb up the ranks and also be a community leader and reach out. But at the end of the day, if I fail my children, I'm going to feel that at the end of my life, and that's not how I want to go out.
And I like that you shared that. On the other side of the break, I want to be able to tap into the things about Eugene no one else would know that I know, specifically as it relates to your role as a civil servant. And I'm going to say it the way that I recognize it as it relates to the subject of a Black male's perspective. A Black man working in a white world. That's what you had to deal with coming into the fire department in the early 80s of Prince George's County. And yet you ascended to the highest seat possible within that organization. So on the other side of the break, I would definitely be interested in hearing you talk about what that experience was like. And then I'm going to share from my perspective of a child growing up, what it was like when I was younger to experience, seeing my oldest brother and what that felt like, but now having respect, having a better perspective of life and history, I better understand what I now know about my brother based on what I knew then. So we want to thank everybody for tuning in. Again, this is Village Talk. My co-host Shauna is with us. Those who may have just joined in, we are talking with Eugene Jones, civil servant, decorated, distinguished civil servant of Prince George's County. And he's talking with us from his perspective of what it means to be a Black male in society and in relation to Black Lives Matter. So we're going to take a break at this time, and we're going to join Eugene on the other side, and we're going to hear a little bit more about his experience as a civil servant. Thank you, everybody.